What's up, everybody? Welcome to the KF Podcast YouTube edition. We're doing the Spider-Man Far From Home spoiler review. I want to say thank you for listening. If you just found us on the interwebs, check us out at kfpodcast.com and at the KF Podcast on all your other favorite social media needs, and also your favorite streaming podcasting app. So you can check us out on Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud.
Yep, you got them all.
All the others.
So we have a movie review. So of course Lance is here.
Spider-Man Far From Home.
Far From Home.
All right. We already skipping past non-spoiler. We're going right into this.
Yeah, so if you're listening to this is if you're watching this,
Here we go.
Spoilers are coming.
All right.
Okay.
Coming down the track.
So
Here we go.
who wants to go first? I'm going to go first.
You go first. Go ahead.
I think Tom Holland is my favorite Spider-Man in any incarnation.
I would agree.
Like, better than the Fox animated Spider-Man. Like, I think he is awesome, and I could want to see more movies with him.
Yes.
And
I hope that Sony is smart and keeps this kid going with his deal with Marvel, because he's like the future of these franchises.
He said he doesn't want to do it anymore, though.
Really? What after this?
I think he's going to finish out the third one. He said he doesn't want to be Spider-Man his whole career.
Well, if they pay him, I think he'll do it for at least another 5 or 10 years. I mean, he's a young guy. I don't know. I get so annoyed when these actors start where they don't want to be typecast. Like, you're a superstar because of Spider-Man.
like, I get it to an extent, but like,
He wants to win an Academy Award. He said he'll never do that as Spider-Man.
Well, you can do both.
yeah,
You can be Spider-Man.
Not with the schedule for Spider-Man.
you got to make the money with Spider-Man so you can do the artsy stuff.
Go be one of these Hollywood actors that have been making these shitty Hollywood movies for years and never have gotten the Academy Award. It's or dying to be in a movie that makes money. Now they're all coming back to wanting to be in these movies.
Yeah, well, I mean, he'll be too old and then he'll be sorry about
Yeah.
it. He's got his whole life ahead of him.
So go ahead, keep with your review.
Sorry.
He'll play the middle-aged Spider-Man.
Yeah. How about that fucking guy back as J. Jonah Jameson?
That was
Yes.
awesome.
That was my favorite.
Now, what movie was he J. Jameson in before?
in the Tobey
Tobey
Maguire
Maguire.
ones?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
What's his? I forget his name.
He was the guy in Oz.
J.K. Simmons.
J.K.
Yeah.
Simmons.
He was Commissioner Gordon in Justice League.
He was also Frank Mardukas' best friend.
He is.
I love you, man.
Yeah. But yeah, so they had him back as JJ.
Yeah.
That was cool, being the end scene.
And actually, it was JJ, but he was sort of an Alex Jones type JJ.
Which is great. Like him, like the way that they were doing it was perfect.
Which they
And this-
stole from Brightburn.
What, doing the...
The conspiracy theorist guy.
oh, yeah.
Oh,
Michael Rooker's character at the end of Brightburn.
I didn't see that.
It was very similar to that.
You missed
Oh, okay.
much. Yeah, it was cool. What about, let's talk Mysterio. What did you think about Mysterio?
I thought it was great. I love the modern day take on him with the tech.
I liked how it was a team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have a feeling it's not going to be a team anymore after the way it ended.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
Well, so the question is, do you think the Gyllenhaal character, I mean, Beck is actually dead, and it's the other guy who took the recording?
yeah,
Who, by the way, is Ralphie from A Christmas Story?
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
the bald guy who was in the first Iron Man,
Yeah.
who like was trying to do the arc reactor and all that. That's Ralphie from A Christmas Story.
that's hilarious.
Oh, that's
and he's
cool.
old now.
What was the character's name? Did they give him a last name? Was just Will, or was it just William? Because I'm wondering if he's like a Spider-Man villain and we're totally missing it.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Good question. I don't know. Look it up on IMDb.
I'm
But,
on there now.
Yeah, he. I think that you're going to see Mysterio more often. I actually think this sets up a Sinister Six storyline.
That would be
Well,
excellent.
they would need a couple more villains.
Only 4, because Vulture's in jail.
You
He's
need
not the-
you have Vulture and you have Mysterio.
who tried to free him from jail? You know, Green Goblin's around because someone visited Vulture in the end scene of the prison cell.
Yeah, they could bring a Norman Osborn in.
Yeah.
They sort of mentioned. Now, it wasn't really Hydro Man and Molten Man and all them like they're
No.
doing in the toys. It was like elementals, fake elementals.
Yeah.
But they did mention, Flash mentions a real Hydro Man.
Oh, does he?
Because he says in that one scene,
Oh, yeah. That he brought.
forgive me, I don't know Hydro Man's comic book name, but when I heard it, I recognized it. They said
Yeah.
this guy was something in water, now he's like made of water. I'm like, that's the real Hydro
Hydro
Man.
Man,
So
yeah.
Hydro Man could still
Be around.
be around
Yeah.
and have those same type of powers. You know,
He is not a comic character. He's
Okay.
only a movie character. William
Riva.
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, by all means, Mysterio does die at the end. I wasn't really sure what he died from. Did he get shot?
He got shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, even though he was like, "Is this an illusion?" He could have fooled him because Mysterio's died and come back, and they
Yeah.
do stuff like that.
Well, also too, like they could just have that guy look like Gyllenhaal, like they, with the Mysterio tech.
yeah,
Well, what they've had 4 Mysterios in the comic books so far.
If anyone would know, it would be you, Lance.
Now, let me ask you a question. So, the glasses that he got that controlled that whole satellite and all that, did Mysterio have access to drones before that? Then he just got a
Yeah.
shit ton of drones?
He just got a shit ton of.
Yeah, so that's
Okay.
why he made a bigger monster.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like the way they did the whole, like, when you're in the illusion, how, like, he was really tripping Spider-Man.
I thought that was the best part of the movie. The
Yeah.
animated stuff where he's like switching between suits, and it felt like the animated series
I was going
whenever
to say, it felt like the one from the 60s and 70s.
yeah, and then whenever the spider webs, and then whenever he sees the cement marker, I was like, wow, this is really good.
Yeah, the way they did that was really cool. Like, there were so many drones shooting illusions, and I figured he was going to have to rely on the spider sense at the end.
His Peter Tingle.
Well,
Peter Tingle.
Because in the first Mysterio, Spider-Man 13, I mean, that's sort of how it ends up, how he ends up sort of beating him.
Yeah, figuring it out.
Yeah.
Using his senses instead of his eyes and ears and everything. I thought the whole elemental things were cool looking.
Well, now, like we all knew that Mysterio was going to be the
Yeah, we
villain.
called that as soon
Yeah.
as we saw
Right.
the
I mean, they were.
trailer.
Yeah,
And we all-
it's Mysterio.
Yeah.
Like,
And we all thought that like that they would be all working together. It makes it even better that they weren't actually there, and it was just
it was cool the stuff he was doing. Now, when he like flew up and started talking to Peter, could his suit really fly, or was that illusion too? And
it
he
was
just
all illusions.
That
walked
was
behind
all-
him,
yeah.
Yeah.
so he really wasn't sitting there talking to him.
No, he would just switch out sometimes.
Yeah, because I was confused a little about which parts were real and which parts weren't real.
I love because the biggest thing with Mysterio is the dome, and I love that the dome was just part of the CG VR, like all that
Yeah.
kind of like the hologram stuff. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Like,
I liked when he was doing those ones illusions where he was opening eyes and hands were coming out from
Yeah.
different things.
Doctor Strange-esque,
Yeah.
yeah.
I liked when he took his head. Like you always see Mysterio take his own head off, and there's stuff going on. I'm like, it was just so cool. That's
Yeah.
part of my favorite scenes in the movie was the Mysterio in
Yeah.
like in the like.
Jake Gyllenhaal was good as him.
Yeah,
And the spot where, when you were talking about where he was where Spider-Man was in the illusion, where you couldn't tell, like, if it was Nick Fury or if it was Mysterio.
I like the way they tied in. The tying in was good. Like in Civil War, when Tony is using this hologram technology, and
Yeah.
he called it crap and all that
Yeah.
stuff. I like the way barf. I like the way they brought in that like Jake Gyllenhaal was standing there the whole
Yeah.
entire time and saw it. Mysterio was mad about that. Like the way they tied that in was cool. Was his name really Quentin Beck in the world? Or did he make Quentin Beck up?
No, Quentin Beck was the first Mysterio's name.
I think the character made that alias up as well. That's what I gathered from
Yeah,
it.
that he wasn't really Quentin Beck. That
Yeah.
was an alias that he made up because they would have been able to research him and like, oh, Quentin Beck is
Yeah,
a
he's
former Stark employee or
Yeah.
whatever. It was like someone they didn't know. Are you bummed out at all, anybody here, that like the multiverse thing they were hinting isn't real?
Well, I have a theory about that. Now that all the shit that Peter was saying could be a way for him to find the multiverse, and that's why it's just the Spider-Man multiverse,
Yeah.
and not more of a larger multiverse.
Spider-Verse and all that?
Yeah, because if he starts looking, like they could say that he starts looking for it. He's got all Tony's tech to make to look for it.
There was a big passing of the torch scene there where he was like working in Tony's stuff.
Yeah.
And it was, but you know
And
what?
Happy was watching it and was like, he had the glasses on. He was doing the whole
And
thing.
doing the whole hands in the thing and the
hands in the thing and was working
Yeah.
working the scene.
And you know what? It was great because he could have made just a suit of Iron Man stuff, but he just made Spider-Man Spider-Man costume.
I thought the sort of cool thing along that line was that the nano suit that Tony made for him, he left it home and did not take it and did not use it through the whole movie.
Is that what was in that sort of like weird
Yeah.
containment?
Yeah.
And that's
thing?
how I could helmet off, helmet on. Like, yeah, it just was all nano.
That was a throwback to the symbiote, too, because that's
Yeah.
how he kept that.
Yeah.
I like the
Oh, yeah.
tech suit. I hope he uses it maybe again.
Well, this kind of stuff gets you back to like he can have the nano suit for big stuff, and then he's got the he can use his normal suit.
I thought he was great. I that's why I want him to stick around, because you need a smart person like Tony. Figured a lot of stuff out, especially if you're going to introduce Reed down the road, and that Reed working with Peter would be cool. Being doing.
And Peter also, the first Spider-Man is when Peter thinks that he should just go join the Fantastic Four because he's got powers. I can see them showing up and be like, oh, yeah, you're like the Avengers. I'm going to come join you. It's like, nah, okay, that's not how it works.
That's how it works for 4 of us.
Yeah, we're a family. You're not part of the family.
Well, but you also see Peter's emotional growth, too.
Yeah.
And there's the whole thing about how Spider-Man deals with the anger that comes with the adrenaline, and you started to see that in sort of the last part of the movie.
Yeah. He got pretty effed up in the end, towards the end of that movie, and he was still going.
Which is typical Spider-Man comic if you read.
Yeah.
How many times have we read a Spider-Man comic, by the end, his suit is destroyed.
Yeah.
And he's bloodied and cut and bruised, and he's still going.
Yeah.
So that had that good vibe to it. What did everybody think of MJ?
I don't mind her. To my head, she's not Mary Jane. She's MJ. So it's like a new character. But I feel like that character's going to die at some point in time.
When does Ned become Hobgoblin?
Is that he has the name for Hobgoblin, doesn't he?
And Betty Brant was the girl he was dating.
Yeah, she broke his heart.
Oh, that was Betty Brant?
Yeah. That's right, because then, doesn't her brother become Hobgoblin?
Maybe.
After she dies?
I think Ned was the second or third Hobgoblin.
Yeah.
You think they would actually turn him into Hobgoblin? I don't know if he would work well in that role, sitting in a...
Well, maybe it's someone who takes his identity.
Yeah. He's a short, round kid. Well, actually, he's not a kid. He's a lot older, that guy. I think he plays a teenager, but he's not. Well, Tom Holland's 22, and he plays like he's 16.
But he looks like he's 16.
It's weird. They had a on Kids Chopped on the Food Network. Tom Holland and the guy who plays Ned they were doing the intros. And it's really weird to hear Tom Holland talking in his native British accent.
His British accent?
Yeah.
No, I don't like it.
Yeah.
He's Spider-Man. He's Peter Parker.
So, I mean, me and MJ, I don't know. She's just... I don't just like the way she comes off. It's just off-putting to me. It's like,
but she's the aloof person for this generation.
She's a typical teenager.
And maybe that's why it annoys me, because I have teenagers, and I'm just like, oh, what's the matter with you?
That's what kids are. You're not going to see a 16-year-old girl with red hair go, you go get him, Tiger.
Well, I don't want that. I mean, first of all, I hate redheads, so I don't really care.
The whole thing with her is it's all facade. That's not who she really is.
Yeah.
She's trying to be cool.
Yeah.
But whenever
she was better at the end when they kind of were together. I did like the web swing with her. She's like, I'm never doing that again. That was terrifying from other person's perspective.
Well, I mean, but she does sort of portray herself as a little bit of a badass. She was the one that took a mace to one of the drones.
Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed Jon Favreau as Happy Hogan.
Yeah, I think he works well with.
I'm glad he's back. I like him in these movies.
It's sort of cool to see him play the mentor / caretaker of Stark Industries.
Yeah. He's good. I like that he was after Aunt May. They had a little thing going. That was pretty good.
I think I'm in love with his aunt.
Oh, we're not sharing?
So let's talk about... We want to talk about the surprise endings? So the first surprise ending...
Well, there's nothing else we want to cover in the main movie.
Well, we can. Was there some...
I just want to make sure before you pass on it.
No.
I mean, it was a pretty straightforward movie.
Yeah,
there wasn't really much to it. It was like the bad guys came, they had a couple fake fights, and you found out the real stuff, and they had a big fight.
Well, wait a minute. Did you want to talk about Rob's tech-heavy comment?
Oh, yeah. Well, Rob thought it was very tech-heavy, and take tech for the sake of tech. I don't think it was a plot hole convenience, though. I don't feel like the tech just fit in. I think maybe also, too, like Black Panther, where we didn't have 6 or 7 movies of Tony, seeing what Tony can do. Black Panther is just here you go, technological anal beads, and they do all kinds of things. With Tony, you know what you were getting every time because
Mysterio's a very tech heavy.
Yeah, exactly. You can't really do him.
You can't really do Mysterio now.
I
mean, in the early days, comic book writers just wrote it off as Hollywood special effects,
or it was hallucinogenic gas sometimes, and
a lot of times they just be like, well, he's real good at special effects,
but
never really told you how he was doing it.
This is the age of drones. What was it? The Olympic Olympics where they had the 200 drones, doing the aerial shows and things like that. So it's actually not that far off.
No, yeah. I mean, it makes sense using drones to do that. It was a very elaborate hologram. You couldn't do that without that.
And I like the last scene where they actually show you what the drones are doing. So you see the drones like shooting like that seismic force and pushing the waves and like.
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
All right. So let's get into...
The first spoiler was that he's swinging around the city with MJ, and then sort of Mysterio's revenge, which you saw when he gave Ralphie that information, was he's framing Spider-Man for his death.
Yeah.
And he told everybody who he is. I think that's very easy to get over because, like...
Well, it's super easy to get away with after the second spoiler.
Yes. Well, I mean... I guess Nick Fury, you could say, could clear your name, but Nick Fury's like a ghost. I mean, this is going to be like everybody. Do you think they're going to like make it like everyone believes that Peter Parker's Spider-Man in the next one, and they're all?
Well, remember that this has actually been done in the comics.
Yeah,
but it was Doc Ock that unmasked.
And they're like, oh, it's not really Spider-Man. Yeah. Like
it was a wannabe or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But like he's framing him. This is like more J. Jonah stuff. Could be after him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, they've done his identity revealed after Civil War. People knew his identity.
Mephisto's coming.
Mephisto's going to show up and wipe it all out.
He's going to sell his soul to Mephisto so no one remembers who he is again.
That one I didn't mind. The second credit scene, I absolutely hated.
Really?
You didn't like them?
Well, I started at first. So the second scene was Skrulls were playing Nick Fury and Maria Hill.
Yeah.
So when the scene first started, and they were driving in a car, I'm like, "What's going on here?" When they first showed their Skrull faces, I got excited. Like, okay, here we go. This is what I've wanted. This is Secret Invasion. Mm-hmm. They're bad now because they were the good guy Skrulls in Captain Marvel. But then they started acting all like, well, he's a good kid, acting all hokey and nice. And then it's like they're nice Skrulls, and Nick Fury's just their boss, and he's up in their spaceship hanging out. And like they're not. That's not Secret Invasion. It's just Nick Fury's in charge of the Skrulls.
I have a theory on that. I think Talos has been Nick Fury the entire time.
The entire time?
The entire MCU time since Captain Marvel.
And Nick Fury's been up there since the 90s?
Mm-hmm. Here's why. When Happy Hogan said the catchphrase, the secret code, how would Talos know that if he was recently... Like, there's no way that Nick Fury would think to tell him that and he would remember it.
True.
So you think for all the Avengers stuff, he's always been...
That's my theory. And Fury's been a casual observer of everything.
Well, why in Winter Soldier, when he was getting attacked, did he not use his Skrull powers then?
You can't reveal it.
But I mean, at that point, they were going to kill him. He was almost dead, and he had to use all those weapons to get out, and...
He was committed to the role.
Or unless he took over for him when he went away at the end of Winter Soldier and disappeared and you didn't see him for a while.
Could be. Mm-hmm. So Justin's little theory about the school teacher is probably accurate.
Because that was the same actor playing him.
Yep.
Interesting.
I just don't...
I think he's been there for a while.
I just don't get it. I don't understand what that means. Like I said, I understand...
They're going to build on it. They're not just going to...
Yeah. I understand Secret Invasion.
It's not another movie.
But these Skrulls are good and nice.
Yeah, but... it's real easy to turn good people bad.
Well, but...
That's how you get invested in the storyline. Everyone wants to seal the good guy, then turn heel. Like, we get invested in Talos and we like him, and then all of a sudden, the government finds out about them, they start persecuting them, and then there you go.
Or you could actually take the flip side and actually demonize the Kree and keep the Skrulls.
Mm-hmm. You could do that too. I mean, the
Krees are going to invade because they were talking about Kree in that one scene.
Right.
Mm-hmm. When they cut to them, he was like, and the Kree were found, and he said something, and they cut away from that.
Yeah. So you could switch it and do the Kree, because the Kree have already been established as bad guys. When you got Ronin and you got
I guess my disappointment is just that. I really love Secret Invasion. I really love when you find out certain people that you thought were so-and-so, they're Skrulls. And these Skrulls, I gave them the pass in the 90s Captain Marvel movie because we were like, okay, they're nice here, but maybe in this 25 years some shit goes wrong and then they turn. But they're still nicey nice in 20.
Weren't the comic Secret Invasion Skrulls brainwashed? Wasn't there like some kind of trigger that they can control them?
Well, there was like wasn't there like a main lady like that was control? It was like
I think so.
Well, they were like hypnotized into like
because they really thought they wore who they were portraying.
And then once they got the code or signal, they reveal themselves as Skrulls. But I also feel like this could also set up that like you now don't have to explain what evil Skrulls can do. Like, let's just say, for instance, because they said they were scattered throughout the galaxy. If there's a group of Skrulls that find out there's good Skrulls living on Earth and they're upset that they didn't tell the others, they could come in and wipe those guys out. Like there's still possibility for bad people. Or bad Skrulls. And with you having a good guy that actually has some weight to it, when he dies, you're going to feel like you really hate the Skrulls. Like, these bad Skrulls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was strange because he did say the phrase, now I think about it, he said, Fury, you got to hurry up and get back down here.
Yeah.
Meaning he's been, like, that made me feel like he just recently started being him.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know.
Well, it would have had to have been... It would have had to have been after the blip, though.
Yeah.
Unless Talos was going in the blip.
I don't know. It, like I said, it was like a couple seconds of like I got really excited till like I'm like, what's it? Fury walking around with his shoes off, and it was very like.
Well, that reminded me of that. What was that original Sin where it was like an all powerful, almost like Brother Eye from Batman.
Yeah, you had the Watcher's eyes.
That's kind of what it reminded me of because he was like watching everything on Earth.
Yeah.
Oh, when he was like living in that space station,
Yeah.
and
That's what it
assassinating
reminded me of.
people.
Yeah.
With a
like,
space gun.
Yeah, and he
Not
had,
like a drawn penis, but like a gun that could shoot
yeah,
through
he
space.
could shoot for space. He was like taking out threats and was like,
It's like a real long sniper rifle.
yeah, he had the
Worst
Watcher's
hero
eyes and all that.
man.
That was a strange Nick Fury shit that they did there.
At first, I thought he was making sword. Because
No, they already did that on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
That doesn't
incorrectly.
They tried to.
They gotta get horse-faced beast up there banging the green hair.
Yeah, that would have been something if it would have been like, if they would have called him and he said something about sword.
Well, and then when you see that at the end with the Skrulls, and you think back, like he didn't seem like Nick Fury through the movie. Like he's just overly angry.
Yeah, he was different. He was definitely different. Now that you mention that, yeah, he was being like kind of weird and different.
And the whole thing about, you don't ghost Nick Fury. In previous movies, Nick Fury would have just shown up.
Yeah.
He would have been calling from the next room or something like that.
And kind of fell for the stupid Mysterio plan.
Yeah,
and all
Even
that.
talking about
Yeah.
that. Are we thinking too small? Is Nick Fury in another multiverse?
Maybe.
Interdimensional communication?
I don't know. It was definitely not what I was expecting.
Yeah, but also it leaves a lot pretty much limitless to go from here.
I was thinking at the end they were going to do something Norman Osborn, Oscorp related, or maybe even Baxter Building type stuff. When they went, I was like, shit, Skrulls, like we're back into this again. And I'm like, it was an odd ending to me. Like it was just very kind of.
I think that was their attempt at funny ha-ha ending like they like to do a lot. Like, oh, it wasn't even Nick Fury, but then they showed him in that space station or wherever he was.
Or I thought he was in Tahiti where Coulson was at first.
But it was funny because he was using the exact same tech that Mysterio originally created.
Yeah.
So, it was different. It was definitely different.
I liked it.
I liked the movie. I didn't like the ending.
I liked all of it.
Okay. All right, let's give it a rating and then we'll go home. Tough.
Yeah.
I'll go first. I'll say 4 nondescript baseball caps.
Okay. Lance?
I have to agree with Brock. 4 Halo helmets.
You want to go next?
3 3/4 luchador masks.
I think I'm going to go with you and do 3 3/4 Dragon Balls.
Because I feel like it was better than like Doctor Strange and stuff, but I don't think it was like Avengers good.
Yeah.
But it was definitely the best Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
By far, I think.
You just really got the feel for like the he was the levity, like the fact he's a child. Like it's just,
Like I said, I want to see more.
Yeah, Homecoming tried to do that, but it came across kind of like dumb until Michael Keaton figured it out.
Yeah. And I like that they didn't kill off Michael Keaton. And they really didn't kill off. You can still use Jake Gyllenhaal.
Homecoming, I felt like they really weren't sure how to do Spider-Man yet in the MCU. It was kind of rushed.
Yeah.
For this one, this was a good ending. Like, what is the word I'm looking for?
Resolution?
No, what are they? An epilogue to Endgame.
Yeah.
This was like good closure for that. You know.
It makes Spider-Man real overpowered with the Edith stuff, the glasses.
Yeah, having all that weapons and Stark tech.
I think he'll make a decision not to use that after all the bad things that happened.
Or it might go to
of-
someone else. I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't, like if he doesn't,
Give it to
like Falcon, Captain America, or Hulk, or Pym,
Or rescue.
I can see him maybe shutting it down and keeping a part of that Edith protocol in his spider lenses.
yeah. But if if Falcon becomes a new Captain America and he's running the Avengers, it wouldn't surprise me if he gave him some that Stark tech to do a
Or
different
what about
thing.
the new Iron Man kit?
If he becomes Iron Man or
Right.
whatever he becomes. Yeah.
Just kill a lot of kids.
Yeah.
Well, there's going to be a lot more of these movies. If you look at Disney's release schedule,
And we will know, because my son asked me, what's the next one? I said, we don't know. We don't know yet. We'll find that out.
isn't that crazy? That we don't know.
We'll find that out at the end of August. A lot of people think it's Widow in May. Still not completely
That's
sold
not the
on.
summer blockbuster one.
Still not sold on
That would be like a February, March one.
Cap 4.
I pray every night for the secret Captain America movie.
What's his face said? He's like, I'm sure that Marvel's going to tie up all Captain America's loose ends in that scene.
Yeah.
Because he knows.
The Russo brothers, who I get so sick of that they have to keep explaining stuff, finally gave a statement on Captain America. And they said he went to the past. They said he tied up the loose ends with the gems. He went to the past. He said he created a different timeline where he lived with Peggy and he was Peggy's husband. He said, and in order to use Pym particles that come back over to our timeline and give the shield to Sam. So he created a new timeline where he lived with Peggy and married Peggy.
Well, here we go. Cap just effed everything in the a-hole.
Yeah. So there was no more of him in our timeline. He was gone.
So if that's the point that split, we could go into a whole other thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of new timelines that were created. Loki created a timeline with the new Tesseract
Yeah,
that he has. Gamora created a new timeline.
yeah.
All the new timeline where Thanos doesn't exist and was wiped out. And all that, and that 2014, and no one ever came for the Power Stone. I mean, you can go on and on with the amount of timelines that were created.
Yeah.
But, I did watch a funny video the other day to end it on where it was, do you ever watch the How It Should Have Ended?
Yeah.
They did one where, they were like, you know how, Black Widow at one point's like, New York, there's 3 gems,
Yeah.
present and all that. Like, someone comes in and goes, well, 2 weeks ago, Thanos has all 6. Let's just go there. He's like, we don't have to go to all these other crazy parts in time. They're like, 2 weeks ago before he destroyed them, they're all there, all 6. One trip, we all go together. Thor cut his head off, and they and they show up, and they go in, and Thanos is walking with a gem, and Thor comes on, and boom, the arm goes off, and they cut his head off, and they split him apart, and they were like, done. And they just had the gauntlet, and they were like, that was easy. And it was like, there's your whole movie. That is true. That was a much better thing than having to split in all these different teams and have someone die for the Soul Stone. Everybody go to 2018 or whatever it was on that planet, right where he was, and he has all 6. One spot. One-stop shopping. It's pretty funny.
So strange was wrong. There were 2 ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, because if they would have done it that way, they would have failed. We don't know how, but they would have failed. The only way to do it, and they would have won, is the way that they did
It's true.
Yeah.
All these other ways they could have done it, something would have went wrong, and then they would have failed.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's the plot convenience of Doctor Strange.
One. Doctor Strange puts a finger up.
Yeah.
That's what you have to do. It wasn't Ant-Man going up Thanos' ass and exploding and all that stuff.
I mean, not yet.
Yeah.
That might have been one of the 14 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot of
Dribble,
different,
Rudd.
there's a lot of different possibilities.
It is funny in that because every time they do something, All this money keeps appearing, so making all kind of money. Did you see that when they're
Yeah.
sitting with Batman and Superman? They just keep making money. You make an endgame money. But it's good times. All right, there you go.
Everyone, please like, share, subscribe, invite. Tell your friends. Check
Tell
us
your
out.
mother.
Yeah, tell your mom. Tell your sister.
Tell your fucking cat for all we care. Just
Jesus.
subscribe and like
Yeah.
and share.
Rate us on iTunes. I feel like that does something, but I don't know what.
You need to get more information around that, Ken.
Well, I feel like if you rate us on iTunes, people will download. Will see us more.
There you go. Rate us on iTunes, you shits.
We'll go from last to second to last.
All right.
And that's a fucking big deal.
There you go.
It is.
All right, everyone.
Later.
See ya.